Okay, welcome to the second drone software meetup. So this session we're going to be looking at the DJI tutorials in Kotlin. So what does that mean? So if you go to the developer.dji.com, you can see that they've got all these tutorials, which are basically everything that you would need to do for, well, mostly everything you need to do if you're going to write your own mobile SDK. So we have a camera, we have a media manager, so writing and reading stuff from the phone or the SD card. Map view for the for mission planning. So and then waypoints and waypoint 2. So we have an example for that. In our case, we're just going to use Mapbox for instead of the Google Maps. Tapfly is you tap where you want it to go, and then there's also an active track in there, which is a follow me. We also have a simulator application, and then the geo one, which is the no-fly zones. And what we did last summer is we don't really work in Java anymore and Android, so we converted these to Kotlin so that the new developers coming in would be able to just have the applications in Kotlin. So here's the 8 that we're doing. Registration is kind of our really simple hello world. The hello world that is here is actually already in Kotlin. So that was the one thing that the DJI folks had done, that they'd converted it to Kotlin already. So we're not going to touch that. And then the camera, media, all of those are all converted. I am missing one. So the Android video stream decoding sample, I realized when I was doing this that that's not completed yet. So I will make sure that it's done by the next meetup. So so we have a complete set. And the next meetup is going to be on the iOS version of this. So the tutorials, I think it's probably a much bigger issue in iOS. The tutorials over there are in Objective-C, and we converted them all to Swift last year. So I think that's a bigger deal. A lot of people will still work in Java on Android. It's becoming less and less common when it's a clean slate, a greenfield application. But certainly there's lots of Android still done in Java. On iOS, I would say almost everything's done in Swift now. We would not start a new project. We'd also in Objective-C, and we'd also find it really difficult to find developers who actually are competent in Objective-C now. It's the COBOL of the modern world, in my humble opinion. Okay. So for each of the tutorials, if you want to just go to GitHub, you can find them under my name, and then DJI Tutorials Kotlin. It's open to the world. We got a lot of information, each of them. So we've got it's a public repo. Each tutorial has a step-by-step Readme to help you recreate the apps. Some apps won't work with some drones, or they work differently with other drones. I think the map view is probably the best example of that. So if you're using a DJI Mini, you have to use virtual sticks to do the mission planning. If you're using a Mavic, it's waypoints, which have a limit of 79 waypoints. If you're using the M300, it's waypoints 2, which don't really have any limit. It might be 2,000 or something, but certainly it's huge. But it's a big issue if you're using a Mavic and you only have 79 waypoints that you can use. Let me show you where that is now. So this is what it looks like. So if you go into registration, you can see the README has a lot of stuff. If we go back to skipping the hello world, because that's actually just a pointer to the one, the developer.dji.com. So like here is all the information, in glorious detail. We rewrote the readmes. We didn't just copy and paste them from the original tutorials, because a lot of the stuff had changed. The context is different. It's not the same. So they're a rewrite rather than a copy paste. Okay. Alright, let me just get rid of this. Probably the easiest thing to do. Okay. So the first app is the registration app. It's the do nothing app. We just want to make sure that you know how to get the API key, know where to put it in the Android manifest, and then add the DJI SDK library to a project. So when it's done, it just runs, says hello world, which any Android developer will recognize, and then we just have a little toast to say that it's it's been successful if it's registered the library to the project. Like I said, each of them have go to the URL. We have a README with all the notes, step-by-step walkthrough. The second app is the Hello World, which is the DJI sample app, showing much of the functionality that you can do in the DJI app. I went through this in a lot of detail on the previous meetup, so you probably want to go have a look at that one. Make sure that's okay. So, you know, we're in this one, we're even using a Spark, so you can use lots of different things. You don't have to go in it and buy, you know, 13 grand drones to do this. You can get away with drones with a Spark. A tele uses a different system as far as I remember, but you could use a Spark, you could use DJI Mini, DJI Mavic 2, Phantom, any of those, M300, starting to get really expensive now. The SDK currently does not support the Mavic 3, so you're out of luck with the Mavic 3. The Air it supports, I think the Air 2 it supports now, if I'm not mistaken, but the best thing to do is to look at the DJI SDK under GitHub and make sure that your drone is supported. So assuming that everything works okay, then you have your Hello World app. So it's going to be like this. So basically it's lots of things. You can enable virtual sticks. So virtual sticks are these two black dots here. So instead of using the hardware controller, you can use these two black dots as virtual sticks. It's also pretty cool as well that you can use virtual sticks to do the map view. So just because you can't use waypoints in some of the cheaper drones, such as the DJI Minis, you can use virtual sticks to do the same again. It's kind of like hard coding the directions you wanted to fly, but if that's all that you have, that's all that you have. So you can see that there's live streamings. It's going to decode the video. There's lots going on off here. So basically the Hello World is hello everything you can do in the DJI app. Did not touch this because it was already done in the mobile SDK. So if you go to GitHub DJI SDK, you can find this example here. Okay, so the next one is the camera application. So this tutorial is designed to give you a basic understanding of the DJI mobile SDK. It implements a FPV, first-person viewer, and two basic camera functionalities, take photo and record photo. You can see that whoever put the tutorials together really had a pretty good idea of all the stuff that you're going to need, so hats off to that. This is the kind of format that we have. So basically what we're doing is we're talking about in the readmes how you would do a camera application. You know, what you need to set up the layout elements, you need to set up a listener, how do you call it from the onCreate function, how are we going to set up the initialize the UI, what happens when with the Android lifecycle, all that sort of stuff, what's called when we do the on clicks. So we're going to have, back to what it does. So it says, so we're going to capture an image, we're going to capture a video, record the video, and then all the detail is here if you want to take a look at it. I did show you that bit earlier. Okay, so now you've got all this stuff, so you've got all these pictures and you've got all these images. How do we get access to them? So you want to use the Media Manager to preview the photos, play the videos, download them to somewhere else to the cloud, delete the files. And then you also want to learn how to get and show the video playback status info. So we use the Media Manager class, and the users can get the metadata for all the multimedia files and has access to all the individual multimedia files. So in here, I guess there's a you can tell that all of these applications do not use the UI UX SDK. So take a step backwards, you know. There's the mobile SDK, there's the UI UX SDK, there's the payload SDK. All that we're using here is the mobile SDK. So the UI UX SDK, what that does is that allows you to get all the icons, so you don't have to reinvent them. So if we were using the UI UX SDK here, you'd see, you know, it would look much more like the DJI Go or the Pilot app. But here, all that we're doing is we're just using the basic functionality of the SDK, treating it like a headless manufacturer's app, and then using the functionality that it exposes to manage our media, or to do the camera, or all the other things we're doing. In a real app, we would also use the UI UX SDK to make it look a lot prettier. Okay, so what are we doing here? So we're just going through the different things. So we can delete the images, we can scroll through the images, we can reload the screen, we can delete the files, we can download the media to our phone. We can play, pause, and resume the video. Checking the media status, what's there, so more metadata information that we have. We're going to move to a different time so we can scroll through what we're looking at. So what position do you want to start? All things that you'd want to do if you're creating your own app. All that data is up on the Media Manager. Okay, so in the next one we have the map view. So in this tutorial, learn how to implement the DJI Waypoint mission feature and get familiar with the usages of the mission control. So almost also you know how to test the Waypoint Mission API. We're also using the Mapbox SDK and the DJI Assistant Simulator. So in this case, what we have is whether we want to go Waypoint 1, Waypoint 2. The Mavic Pro would be the Waypoint 1, the M300 would be Waypoint 2. How do we configure it, and then how do we set it all up so that we can have a simulated automated flight using our waypoints. So you connect your Android device to the remote controller using a USB cable and run the application. So you go back to the DJI Assistant 2 simulator on your PC or Mac and press Start Simulating button. So a tiny red aircraft will appear on the map in your application if you press the locate button up here at the top. And then the map view will zoom into the region you were in and center the aircraft. So you can set it to whatever you want to do as well, but this is just in Troy. So next, press the add button and tap on the map where you want to add the waypoints. So we don't have any waypoints here, so we're going to say, okay, I want it to fly in this parallelogram or whatever this rectangle, whatever. We add the button, tap on the map where you want to add the waypoints, as shown below. If the upload mission success, we press the start button to start the waypoint mission execution. Remember, this is in the simulator, so it's not actually flying. So now you can see the aircraft move towards the waypoints you set previously on the map view, and then at the same time you should be able to see the Mavic Pro take off and start to fly in the DJI Assistant Simulator 2. So if you go through the Readme, it will show you how to set this all up from scratch, from creating an app to setting up the simulator, from importing the Mapbox SDK. We already know how to use the DJI SDK, so we're going to use the Mapbox instead. We're also learning how to use the DJI Simulator, in this case for Mavic Pro. There are different DJI assistants for many of the different drones, so you want to make sure that you're using the right one. Okay, next one is the Tapfly and Active Track. So in this tutorial you will learn how to use Tapfly, which is going to tap on it and it's going to fly in a direction that you're pointing at. And Active Track is it's basically you tell the drone to follow you or follow an individual. And we use the Tapfly mission operator and the Active Track operator to do that. Okay, so have a look at what it looks like. So given a coordinate in a live video stream, which you can come from a user tap, the aircraft will calculate and fly towards the coordinates direction in the real world. So during a flight, the aircraft will automatically detect and avoid obstacles. Also, the aircraft will stop flying in the direction if it reaches its radius limit and the mission is stopped. And then if the user pulls back on the pitch stick, uses the real remote control, or if it comes to an obstacle it cannot bypass, then it's just going to stop. So during the mission, you can use the remote controller's yaw stick to adjust the heading of the aircraft, which also adjusts the direction of the flight to the new yaw. So this basically gets you, if you want to set something up so that it works really quickly, teaches you how to set a coordinate by tapping somewhere on the screen, and then it will just go fly there. So pretty basic functionality. Okay, I didn't see the second one. So second one, this is the wrong one. I'll update this when I upload the files again. In the Active Track, so it's essentially what it's doing is do we have that here? Is it coming up? Yes, it is. Woohoo! So an active track mission allows an aircraft to track a moving subject using the vision system and without a GPS tracker on the subject. So to use an active track mission, the main camera is used to track the target, so the gimbal cannot be adjusted during an active track mission. So during the mission, the aircraft can be manually flown with pitch, roll, and throttle to move around the subject being tracked. So this is using, essentially object detection. We're defining who the object is. We want to follow this person. It's going to track this person for as long as the batteries will last. I think that was something that people always found really cool when drones came out first, but probably less so now. All the information's up there. The DJI Simulator is used to control the aircraft in a simulated environment based on the virtual stick input. Simulated aircraft state information will also be displayed on the screen, so you can use the simulator class and the flight controller to control the simulation, and it allows manual and automated flights to be simulated without actually flying the aircraft. And then we have to use this with the Mavic Mini 2, because I think what I said earlier on is the one of the things that happens is that the DJI Assistant usually has the simulator in there, but for whatever reason in the DJI Mini 2 it doesn't exist anymore. So we can use this simulator to make sure that we can code our app if you're working with the DJI Mini 2 and not have to go out the door every time that you want to test some code and fly your drone. Some drones don't support the waypoint missions we looked at earlier, and you have to use a thing called visual sticks. So in this app we see the 2 black circles, which are our manual visual sticks. Looking at the code will also help you with creating automated missions. Waypoints are limited to 79 points, but some apps use multiple missions to get over this restriction. So there's a thing called the timeline. So basically use the timeline to have multiple missions of 79 points. So that's basically the way that people usually get around that. Then you merge them together. The code you can find yet again under Godfrey Nolan in GitHub. So finally, we're going to look at the GeoDemo app. So this shows how to use the fly zone manager and fly zone information of the DJI Mobile SDK, so we can get fly zones and unlock authorization to fly in some unauthorized fly zones. So how do you do that? So you log in with your verified DJ account. If it's a new account, it's going to ask you to add some credit card information or phone number to complete the verification process. So then we open the simulator on DJI Assistant 2 and enter the coordinates for Palo Alto. Then we press the update location and it gives us all of the surrounding no-fly zone buttons to show us where we can fly and can't fly. So we get an authorization fly zone ID to unlock one of the fly zones. We say unlock no fly zone to enter the fly zone ID to unlock it. If you unlock it successfully, meaning that you're in an area which is not too close to the airport, then it allows you to fly. Then you can fly within the surrounding no fly zone because you have the proper authorization. This is not Lance, by the way. This is just unlocking a fly zone for the database that's within each of the DJI mobile SDK apps has a whole bunch of no-fly zones, kind of hard-coded no-fly zones, and in order to be able to fly there, basically what you want to be able to do is to ask for an unlock authorization. So this is just authorization from within the DJI app. It's not the FAA authorization, which is called Lance. Okay, so how do we do that? So we log into, we're going to open it. If you haven't already logged into your account, it's going to ask you to log in. If you don't have an account, it's going to make you verify. So the verification is either credit card, where it does a simple auth capture to make sure that the credit card is a real one that's connected with your name, or else it's a phone number. So if you have enter your mobile phone number so that DJI has a record of who actually asked for the authorization in case anything goes wrong. If you want to log out, you can press the logout button on the upper right corner. Which also give you the status if you're logged in or not. Okay, so in this case we're going to use the DJI Simulator to simulate the aircraft location. So we use the DJI Simulator for our test environment. So in this case we're using a Phantom 4. We open the simulator and enter the coordinates, which are for Palo Alto, to start simulating the aircraft's coordinates to the authorization area. You update the location, get the surrounding no-fly zone buttons to update see this one here, to update the aircraft's location. So then wait for a while, and then you may see there's a red aircraft placed inside this yellow circle. So we're in this giant yellow circle, which is an authorization fly zone you can unlock as shown below. So we're not in the red area, so we can unlock this one. So we want to say on the text view on the right side, we'll show the fly zone information. So we got lots more information about the fly zone now. It has the fly zone ID, which we're going to need to know, so the 113667 because we're going to enter that and ask for authorization. So the green circle represents the warning fly zones, which do not restrict flight and are informational to alert the user. In a warning fly zone, users should be prompted with a warning message describing the zone. In the yellow circle, it represents the authorization fly zone, which will restrict the flight by default, but can be unlocked by a geo-verified user. In the red circle, it represents the restricted fly zone. It will restrict the flight by default and cannot be unlocked by a geo-verified user. Okay, so after you log in, basically what you want to do now is you want to enter the fly zone that we just had and say unlock it, and because it knows who you are because you're a verified account, and if you're in a yellow circle, it will allow you to unlock it, and then we can fly in our simulator because the yellow circle's gone now because we've unlocked it because we have got the proper authorization. Okay, the code for that is here. So DJI, the 8Geo. So in this tutorial, you learned how to use the fly zone manager and fly zone information of the DJI mobile SDK to get the fly zone information, how to unlock the authorization fly zones, and how to add aircraft annotation and draw fly zone circle overlays on the map view to represent the fly zones. Moreover, you've learned how to use the DJI Simulator to simulate the aircraft's coordinate and test the geosystem feature indoor without flying outside. Alright, so that's it for this month. So next month what we're going to do is we're going to go through the DJI Swift examples, and I'm actually hoping to have somebody from DJI to do the talk next month. If anybody's got any input on what they wanted to look at, that would be great. I think the next thing that we're going to do after this is probably a parrot version of the DJI tutorials. I think the format that they have is the applications that they have, each of the different applications applies to any SDK, so we'll probably just do the parrot ones next. I think that makes logical sense. Okay. And hope to see you guys again next month.